Greetings, fellow Christians. Let us thank the Lord and the great Republican Party for giving us another blissful day in our blessed homeland, the United States of America. Under the glorious and spiritual guidance of President Reverend Falwell, the Ministry of Homeland Security has used the new Patriot Act 4 to track down and prosecute 6 men suspected of burning flags and planning a demonstration using cutting-edge surveillance technology. Earlier this week, 5 of our police officers stumbled upon unchristian dialect criticizing President Reverend Falwell's oil connections. As we speak, these traitors are being kept in spiritual recultivation camps in Reagan, Alaska. President Reverend Falwell and the Standing Committee of the Republican Party have decorated the officers responsible for the capture with the National Freedom Medallion, first degree. Other arrests have been made using visual surveillance technology. Over the past week, 3 suspects have been caught using new domestic filming devices, reading forbidden left-wing material. Police searches have been conducted immediately after these discoveries. The suspects were convicted of disloyalty to the government of President Reverend Falwell in the first degree. They will be publicly executed by electric chair in Liberty Square, New York City, on June 10th. Alex?
In economic and spiritual news, wheat production is up 120% from last year. Since 2020, agricultural output has outpaced market forecasts in every fiscal quarter. Credit for this outstanding achievement goes to faith, patriotism, and loyalty of the American people. In the words of late President Bush II, the pie has indeed gone higher. Our statistics show that the use of faith in schools has led to skyrocketing child abstinence. Also, efforts to discourage homosexuality among our youth have led to the introduction of law mandating education to speak out against the moral consequences of same-sex relationships. Working in conjunction with the American Christian Youth Foundation, teachers will be required to provide at least 3 hours of instruction a week for our youngsters. These programs have been well received by people under the age of 18 who have, in the last 5 years, been informing the authorities of homosexual activity. These perverted activities have led to record arrests and convictions by the Ministry of Homeland Security. Let us implore the protection of our God Almighty on our courageous soldiers fighting the barbarian Muslim hordes. It seems that the tactfulness of our church-going citizens has rewarded us with victory against the Iranians during the defense of the American Protectorate of Trans-Arabia. Our glorious troops, aided by air support by our allies in Israel, have driven back the Islamic hordes that have raped and pillaged across the Middle East. With ever more importance, United States oil assets have remained almost intact. Recent victories all across the Middle Eastern front have encouraged millions of freedom-loving Americans to enlist in the armed forces.
Unquestioning loyalty of the American people, President Reverend Falwell, the National Republican Party, and our Christian God will continue to lead us on a single-minded course towards freedom and peace.
We must always bear in mind slave-like submission to our national ideals of freedom and justice. We must always remember that the savage heathens with whom we are at war will have no mercy when conducting acts of terrorism against America. Their brutal murders are unrestrained by Christian ethics, and therefore they perpetrate the most unscrupulous acts of terrorism against God-fearing Americans at home and abroad.
Remember, my fellow Americans, by the praise of God and the leadership of President Reverend Falwell and his National Republican Party, that all of your actions are being watched for your own safety. The Ministry of Homeland Security requires you loyalty and obedience, for without them, the very things we hold dear will come to nothing.
War is glory. Freedom is credence. Faith is strength. Good night.